Those two kids are witches. Find them.
Now, from Walt Disney Productions, a motion picture of unearthly power. Escape to Witch Mountain.
Well,
Hunted.
you have power. Well, I want to be able to understand these powers.
Their only hope is escape to Witch Mountain. Rated G.
Welcome to the Medfield College Film Society, the only podcast that watches, reviews, and rates Disney films from scenic Medfield College. They can't say that, can they? We're here in the hallowed halls. But tonight, we're in top gear for Season 4, rocking and rolling down the virtual Disney Plus highway in our Winnebago. But let's take a pit stop at a scenic overlook and pick up our ne'er-do-well society members. We're going to start with the self-appointed leader of the group, Mr. Robert McSwain. How you doing tonight, Robert?
Sorry, I dumped a bag of flour on me here. I'm covered. I'm doing pretty good. Winnebago's been rocking and rolling a little too hard for me, though. But
yeah. This reminds me of one time I was up on the Blue Ridge Parkway with a friend of mine, and I met these people were there, and I was like, there was no car there, and I was like, they started talking to us, and I was like, where are you all from? They're like, Florida. It's like, cool. They're like, yeah, we walked here. I was like, you just walked here? They're like, yeah, we just walk all over.
Okay. I was hoping you were going to tell the story about coming back from Disney World in our RV, watching Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, that's another story. A lot of RV experience.
Passing people who just walked from Florida.
They just walk.
Walk from Florida like all the way to the Parkway. Huh?
Little Johnny Appleseeds roaming all around the country.
I guess so. Doing who knows what.
Well, there you are down in Florida yourself, Mr. Michael Crawford. How's it going?
I did not walk here. It is going very well. Very well.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, it's not, but it sounded good to say.
But you got to say that it's going
You
well.
gotta say. Yeah, glad
Show
to be
go
back.
to pieces, you know? He's trying to get away.
I'm an old man, and I don't like children or oranges. I don't know.
Something. Tops trading cards. All right. Well, the home of the Blue Ridge Parkway, where we're at right now, sitting on the side of the road, waiting at the scenic overlook, Mr. Andy Brown. Now, he did walk from his house. Andy, how's it going?
I walk everywhere.
Yep. Back to the devil's stomping ground.
Yep. I walk. Yeah, I walk. I've been everywhere, man. Just like the Johnny Cash song.
That's right. Well, it's time to get in this RV. I mean, this Winnebago is sweet. It's very angular.
Very wind resistant.
It's very wind resistant.
Very Winnebago-y.
Very Winnebago-y. In real life, there is one of these down the road from my house that I just think of a little bit more fondly now. But let's head on down the road and see where it takes us. Michael, where's our next stop?
Well, tonight we are discussing the 1975 Disney classic, Escape to Witch Mountain. Written by Robert Malcolm Young, based on a novel of the same name by Alexander H. Key. This movie was directed by John Hough. It was produced by Jerome Cortland and Ron Miller, of course. And it stars Eddie Albert, Ray Milland, Donald Pleasence, Kim Richards, and Ike Eisenman. Features some music by Johnny Mandel. Suicide is Painless. That guy.
Oh, the Nashville guy.
Yeah, so a 1970s Disney product with a little bit of a different vibe.
Yeah. Michael, do you know anything about how this movie, like when it went into production, how they picked it? Like anything about that?
I don't know. I was wondering these things because it feels so very different from
It
all
does.
these other
Yeah,
things
it
we've
It
feels
seen.
really does. And it feels like, I mean, maybe it's like a shade of like the first of things to come.
Yeah,
It kind of
you can
feels
see
like
this
that.
path going to like Something Wicked This Way Comes and Watcher
Right.
in the Woods. But this director, John Hough, had come from England. He was a British television director who started directing films in America and wound up doing this. So maybe that accounts for some of its different mood. It wasn't really from the Disney factory, I guess.
He did the sequel, and then he also did Watcher in the Woods too, didn't he?
Yeah. So he did a
And
couple.
he also
for this.
did the Squeakquel.
Yes, he did. The Squeakquel. Witch Mountain, The Squeakquel. So yeah, very, very, very moody. Not. You imagine this like serving up in theaters next to $1 Million Duck, and it is
Right.
a
Yeah, it's so
horse of a different
crazy.
color for sure.
Yeah.
You bring up this different factory idea, and that's something that would play out, especially in the next decade, where it's not all being done by the same production house. But yeah, this was
a lot
ahead
of
its
people were
time.
retiring. They were kind of filtering out of the studio, and or just passing away or retiring, and they were bringing in new people. And yeah, this is kind of what happened.
Johnny Mandel. You know who didn't retire yet?
Who's that?
Evelyn Kennedy.
Evelyn
She's
Kennedy.
there every freaking time, man.
The Iron Horse.
Yeah. That music editing, man. She is a workhorse. Had her in there in that tape bay, just slicing tape.
When did she hang it up?
I don't know. That'd be something interesting to look up. It'd be interesting to talk to whoever knows the most about Evelyn Kennedy, because she is in
Everything.
everything.
Yeah, a lot of those sort of technical folks, like makeup and hair and things like that, editing and things, you see them in every one of these movies we've done. It's just a machine.
Right. Well, Andy, had you ever seen Escape to Witch Mountain? Witch Mountain?
I had not seen this movie, but it felt like I had seen it before as I was watching it, because it felt like
Mysterious.
no, it felt like someone took like the Dukes of Hazzard and mixed it with the A-Team, and I don't know, because it felt just like a show, one of those types of shows. It had the same look. I think they shot it in a similar location. I think the same. It feels like the same cinematographer did all this together. All the series together. But it was something else.
Robert might have words with you about the cinematography being just like
man.
that. Yeah.
I got thoughts coming up.
All right, I can't wait to talk about it.
Well, I think we should dive into it. I think we should.
So was it are you saying yay, nay, or just okay, and somewhere in the middle?
I guess, yeah. What are you saying, Andy?
I'm gonna hold back my opinion.
Oh, he's gonna wait.
Appropriately
Ooh, yeah.
mysterious.
Keeping
That's
the
right.
powder
Appropriately
dry.
mysterious. Okay. Well, let's get in this Winnebago. Let's get this good gas mileage. Let's put leaded gas in it if we can. Head off
Hopefully.
up Witch Mountain.
It just tastes so good.
Mr. Robert McSwain.
There it is. With all its simplicity and glorious fanfare music, the Buena Vista Distribution Company.
Bum, 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 bum.
Incorporated. We cut to a black screen as we hear the sound of people running, and the music fades to add suspense.
Oh,
as
man.
two ghost-like figures emerge from the darkness. What in the world is going on?
I forgot about this, but this is Disney's Albert Broccoli intro.
Yeah, it is.
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, this
It's
feels
amazing.
very James Bondish.
The music,
Yes.
Johnny Mandel. Come on. So good.
Walt Disney Production presents Escape to Witch Mountain. The figures, which are blue silhouettes, run into the camera, and animated dogs are chasing them. Jeff, Michael, and Andy, you want to elaborate on the dogs or anything here?
Oh, boy.
I know you have thoughts.
I do. These dogs are kind of weird. These, because it's like they went to the animation studio and got like the animators to animate dogs. It's like animate some really mean dogs. And it feels like they came out of The Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
It's like, give us some like silhouettes of monster dogs, not like cartoon dogs.
And let's like take every fourth frame of the animation so it like really strobes out.
Yeah. My favorites were when they would have like 2 frames between credits. So it would just be like dog jump cut.
Yes.
And then they would disappear.
It's like getting boring. Put some dogs in there. Those dogs, man, scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
I just feel like this movie's going to be about a bunch of dogs chasing after kids. It's like an hour and a half of that.
Just like a Benny Hill skit, just around and around.
We wrap up the credits on a great low shot. Oh, but we'll be back up. So, I mean, I felt, we mentioned this, but in my notes also, very James Bond-esque, the opening credits. But we wrap up the credits on a great low shot with the camera attached to the side of a van. We can read on the door of the van, Pine Woods Child Welfare Department. As the
This
van
is your A-team shot.
A-team shot here.
Exactly.
As the van races down the street, I'm going to come right out of the gate and say the camera work in this movie blew my socks off. It was amazing, and I loved it.
It's not your daddy's Disney live action, is it? It's a whole new
It's
look.
not. No,
It was a turn, though. I mean, there was a period of time when this was like the shot. These type of shots were used all the time. You know, it was that mid 70s to mid 80s, that 10-year span. This kind of type of shot. You know, later there'll be another shot later, but like things where they're focused on one thing,
And
but
pull and
then
focus.
and then they pull into like a side mirror of a car, and then all of a sudden now they follow the car that moves off. You know, that kind of stuff.
Love that.
In the van sits 2 children nervously waiting for what will come next as they pass kids playing in the yard. We pull into a dark Victorian building, and did anyone catch the kid climbing one of the posts up the building?
Yeah. I
Like,
said it must be the 70s because here's an orphanage. The 70s, they love their orphanages, and we go right into it.
this is a school in Palo Alto. I went and looked it up. I mean,
Really?
it's white now, and but it's still, I mean, everything is there. Like if you go Google Earth or Google Maps.
Really?
Like, and even the sign going in, like you can see the speed sign that's still there. Like the sign that it looks like they just covered up the sign of the school and put Pinewood, orphanage on it. But like the font and everything is still there. I mean, it's, and that road that the vans were racing down is, I mean, all those houses are all still there. It's like frozen in
Far
time.
out, man.
It was pretty cool. But
That's wild.
the children emerge from the van and are greeted by a nice enough lady who calls them Tony and Tia. The lady notices that Tia is carrying what appears to be a small fanless mini PC box with a star on it.
It's an amp.
The Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
She tells them they just need to fill out some paperwork and they'll be all set.
This lady is very handsy. She's very handsy. She's all over him and is like, oh, look at this box you got. Let me handle it.
Now we
What
know
is
the
ass? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, now we know who the lady is, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Yeah, Retta Shaw. She was in Mary Poppins, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cook.
But I also know her from the Andy Griffith Show. She was the escaped convict, Big Ma Tyler.
That's right. That's quite a turn for her.
Yeah.
As they fill out paperwork, we're introduced to TV's Danny Bonaducci, who's giving them the business
the same thing.
on paperwork and accuses Tia of stealing his pen. After Tony and Danny, also known as Truck, it's not really Danny Bonaducci, but he had a vibe.
Yeah.
Oh,
I put it down. I said, this is a poor man's Danny Bonaducci, which I think is just a hilarious thing to write down, a poor man's Danny Bonaducci.
Well, he's really low on the totem pole.
Yeah, really.
Or maybe
This kid's
he's the
trouble
rich
off
man.
the bat. You can tell.
It's like, what's
See,
up, Ginger? Good grief.
The ginger
man.
kid of trouble.
Call him Truck. Truck bows up to Tony, and the head warden or social worker or orphanage lady, whatever she is from earlier, comes in and breaks up the tension.
This is Grindley.
Jeff, tell us what's going on here with Truck. What's
Oh, man. I tell you. This is, I don't know, man.
he's sort of, I mean, well, he's got this large, mop of red hair, but it's,
I mean, yeah. I mean, you got the Danny Bonaducci, but this kid is pouring it on a little thick.
yeah.
He's acting like he's the biggest tough guy around, and he's just this dude.
He
just keeps this talking little like kid.
this.
Yeah, it's like he's really trying to trying to be the bully.
I lost
Sure.
a pin like this when I came in.
Oh,
Real tough guys love pins.
But just
Really
kind
nice
of
pins.
giving that open mouth stare,
Yeah.
He looks like he smells of old milk.
And brute.
He's that one kid. Yeah, that one kid. I did like a line. They had a line here because Tony and T are having to fill out forms, and it's under sports, what sports they do. And Tony's just put spectator. I thought that was pretty funny.
T is not much into the sports.
Yeah.
The lady explains that Tia and Tony were in foster care and they don't remember their given last names and only their foster names Malone. As the head lady asks if they ever got a card from relatives or anything, Tia spaces out, and we have a weird flashback to Tia.
Boy,
and
does
Tony.
she space out.
She really does. She's just out of there.
A lot of spacing out in this movie.
And the music that they play it's this strange. What would you describe that for me, Jeff? What would you say that is? That it's like a.
It's like a little. It's not a wind chime. It has the essence of a wind chime. It's a little it's like a synth, right?
Yeah,
it's like a synth with reverb.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah.
With a theremin underneath it almost.
Yeah, it's spooky dream.
But it just shows up, and then when she's done spacing out, it just stops. It's a weird usage.
Tia's spacing out, and she's in the water with Tony and another person. We can't make out who the other person is. It's kind of blurry, and it's foggy, and it's kind of weird. And what's going on here? We get a great snap zoom off Tia's face. She comes out of her trance. She says she's wasn't thinking of anything good, just thinking,
This I was thinking.
I was thinking.
Later that day, the kids are all on the ball field playing baseball. Truck cracks one into right field. Tony gives chase as Tia watches. Somehow Tony manages to run into a thicket of bushes, and Tia puts her hands to her temples, closes her eyes, and Tony goes flying out of the bushes and catches the ball.
That effect is pretty great. Pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun wire work in this.
Yeah.
Tia just cheating right off the bat, which is not very subtle with the blending in.
Yeah.
I'll just cheat.
Truck needlessly slides into third as Tony emerges from the bushes with the ball, and Truck is out.
Oh man, come on.
Truck ain't happy about this, and seems to be the only one that's questioning the play.
That seems, yeah.
Yeah, everybody else is like, that was great.
Whoa, how'd you do that?
But I love what you stood on something.
You're just trying to rip me off.
It's like, what is the voice about? And also, a kid like that has to have like the tightest fitting shirt possible.
Yes.
Definitely.
It's like, come on.
A muscle shirt for a child.
Yeah, come on. Kick rocks, truck. Get out of here.
Truck stomps up and gives one of his mini reads that really separates him from the rest of the cast. I was safe at third. Safe. There's something funny about this, Malone. Truck bows up again, and Tony, and we find out that Tia and Tony are empathic. They can hear each other's thoughts. Truck jumps at Tony, and Tony jumps 10 feet in the air out of the way, which again, no one seems to mind.
Yeah, it's just
Normal.
I guess,
He's got ups.
the
Man, that
human
kid got
mind can
jumps.
unsee a lot of things if they want to.
You see a lot of things in the orphanage, and so I guess they're just like,
That's right.
These kids have all seen some stuff.
Maybe it's like a haunted orphanage and there's stuff like this going on all the time.
It looks like
like
a
it
haunted
could be.
orphanage. It has the.
Oh boy, it really does. That's like shades of Return to Oz.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they've all had electroshock and are just like totally zoned out. Everything's just
Sorry
whatever.
about that scene in Oz.
Well, we gotta wait for that.
I don't think we're going to do that one. I tried to watch it the other day, and
That's gonna be my whatever.
Your summer pick.
No, the opposite. The one that the nuclear option for me is Return to Oz. I think. Yikes!
Suddenly, the baseball glove levitates and smacks Truck in the face and punches him. Andy, how about those that glove in the face effect? How'd you think of that?
I liked it. I thought it was well done. I was like, it's all practical. So far, I'm in.
It's funny. I remember so little about this movie in the middle, but I remember the end. As we watched the end so many times, Michael.
It must have been like on a tape before.
It has to be
something
on a
else.
tape because we watched the end over and over again.
Was it on a tape before Herbie goes bananas?
Could be.
It could have been, yeah.
But I also remember like trying to watch this enough as a child and remembering the glove. I do
Because
remember
he
the
kind
glove.
of like, I don't even know what the motion you would describe of just sort of smothering him in the face with the glove.
It's like what you would do with the cream pie, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's from Alien. It's like the alien coming and attaching to the
That's
face.
right.
That's somewhere between the two.
Maybe that's where Ridley Scott got the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had written in my notes, by the way, at first I thought this was Fort Wilderness, but it's much more like Return to Oz. Like when they first get to this place, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then it's not cool at all.
Truck tries to punch Tony, and the bat flies up, and he punches it instead and decides to bail.
This was really effective for me. 'Cause the way his punch connects with that bat and like the sound effect they use, that hurts. That like legit hurts.
Oh, man.
Punk. Again, way to lay low, kids.
All the other kids are starting to get suspicious, and something's up, and Tia wasn't real happy. But, I mean, what's she unhappy about? Because she started the whole thing by levitating Tony. But anyway, in bed, Tia and Tony are talking empathically to each other about the fight, and Tia says she hears dogs about 20 miles away.
Are they animated?
Maybe so.
Here's
There's
an
animated
animated
dogs running around.
I
in my
just
head.
love how the movie just jumps right into the magical power thing. It never even explains like, hey, we have magical powers. It's just like, hey, these are just some rando kids that are at an orphanage, and now suddenly they're like
Oh,
jumping
you saw
around.
their Mac Mini. It had the stars on it,
No, that's true. You should have known
Pretty clear.
something was mystical again.
That's
you know
just
what?
too weird.
But it worked for me because I didn't question it at all. I was like, all right, whatever.
No,
Here we go.
no. I mean, I'd rather have that than have like 10 minutes of exposition about how we're magical and stuff. But it's just funny how it just goes right into it.
You know what I was thinking? I saw this movie the other night. I wish I could remember what it was, but it's like they used and this is common, but they used like the newscast to do the exposition. Like somebody was watching the news, and it was like so and so blah 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 blah, and it's like that's a good way to do it.
Like in Back to the Future when they did that.
Yeah, for sure.
The plot specific TV news channel.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have worked here. I guess they wouldn't have been which kids on the lam yet.
The next day, we get another cool shot. It's a long shot this time. As the kids run down the steps, the camera follows them stationary. As they pass the camera pans and then begins to follow them handheld all the way down
I
the
noticed
hall
this shot too.
towards the door.
It's bizarre.
Great camera work. Loved it.
Very different. Very different.
Yeah.
Where are the dogs, man? I'm ready for the dogs.
They're 20 miles away. They're coming.
Oh, yeah, right.
They're not
What did
fast.
he tell her when she's like, I hear dogs? Didn't he say something to her? Or did he just think like, all right, whatever?
No, he's
I think he says he heard them too. Yeah.
he heard
okay.
them, and they were trying to figure out like they assumed it was somewhere they're going to be or something they're going to run into at some point.
You're
That's how it
right.
works. That's how magic works.
The kids are lining up outside to go to a movie, and Truck takes the opportunity to snatch Tia's Mac Mini, or Starcase, as it is. Tony again stands up to Truck, who threatens to fight Tony with one hand.
Truck.
And Tony says he'll do it with none. And a black cat walks up and jumps on Truck, knocking the Starcase out of his hand. Then the Pinewood bus arrives and breaks up the fight. Cat jumps into a tree. Kids name him Winky.
How do you like that? How do you like that shot of him winking?
Yeah, that's what I say. How about that Winky shot there, Jeff? What'd you think of that?
Oh man, I'm having a hard time. At this point. You know,
I
it's
thought
like
about
there's so much convention. It does feel like TV at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm with Andy. Feels like does feel like A-Team or like, you know, whatever, Partridge Family, what have you.
Man.
You're
Partridge
waiting
Family,
for
A-Team
Michael
didn't have-
Knight to show up and save the day,
Yes.
take in these kids.
They didn't have
Rockford
long
Files.
shots like that on the A-Team. It was
No.
all wide.
Yes, they
dull.
did.
Oh,
Yes, they did.
Oh,
We will
no,
go
they
back and watch them. I have examples.
Oh, so you've been getting examples for this?
No, but I just wanted to say that.
I got the receipts.
Oh, I know Robert's gonna like this. I'm gonna get him.
But they
Sounds-
did. They have that shot.
Sounds like a live stream opportunity. We have to,
Gonna take the gloves off. Robert and Andy getting in the ring together. Gonna duke it out.
Oh, yes, look at this angle. Oh, look at this angle. Oh.
Okay, so I will say that not all the camera work was good, because I did put in my notes here that that shot with Winky was pretty bad.
It was reminiscent of the dogs talking in Shaggy DA.
Yes.
Same gag.
oh yeah, totally.
Kids head into the town to watch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs at the Fine Arts Theater. Naturally, we get a nice high angle crane shot. Did they have that on the A-Team, Mandy? Do the high crane shot
Oh, yeah.
as the kids run.
If they didn't, then this falls back to the Dukes of Hazzard, which they did that exact same shot. All the
Run
time.
out
Well,
of
they
the
had it on
theater.
Magnum PI if they didn't have on either one of those.
See, it's from that era.
The camera pans down to show the waiting bus with the bus driver in frame. Tia and Tony are standing next to the bus with an unusual shot here, with Tony holding onto the bus's front convex mirror, which was a little distracting with the reflection. I'll say that. Tia is noticing a large, fancy Cadillac across the street with the driver. Tia has a vision that something bad is about to happen, though.
I'm amused how super hyped these kids were for Snow White. I mean, they were like all about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs here in 1975. But also there's a weird bit of business because they go out to get on the bus and like the bus drivers like won't open the door, and they're like yelling at him and kind of standing there, and he's just like, no, I don't, while Tony and T are doing their thing. It's really weird.
As the presumed owner of the car begins to get in, they rush up and discover it's James Bond's arch enemy, Ernest Stavro Blofeld, about to climb in.
Yeah, don't do that.
What? Well, that's who it is.
I know, but I'm saying the kids shouldn't get in the car.
No, definitely not. If something's bad's going to happen to him,
Yeah.
then let it.
They
But
got
you
the
said I
cat in there.
I shouldn't say that it's Blofeld.
No, it's not saying
Hey,
that.
Mr. Bond.
Stay away from Blofeld. What are you doing?
Hello, children.
Tony warns Blofeld to not get in the car. Blofeld heeds his warning and decides to take a walk. Just then, a tow truck crashes into the car, saves his life, and Blofeld watches as the kids leave for Pinewood.
Got a nice, like, extreme zoom in of the era for the kid looking at the kids on the bus.
Yes.
Mhm.
Anybody ever noticed his overlap with Skinner in Back to the Future?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
He did
When I was a
have
kid,
those.
I got him confused all the time.
I feel seen now.
Yep.
I like the that he checks in with the driver. They made sure to underscore that the driver of the car was, "I'm okay." Are you okay? Okay, good.
That felt like A-Team because they used to always do that on the A-Team. They'd always check when they'd crash. Hey, buddy, you okay? Yeah, I'm all right, buddy.
Yeah, and make sure it's like the
So no one died ever on the
every
show.
like Cobra guy in a plane had a parachute when he got shot down on G.I. Joe.
The next shots of a villainous mansion with barking dogs. Could this be the same barking dogs we heard earlier?
Seems likely.
That's plausible.
It's Mr. Burns' house.
It does have a Mr. Burns feel, doesn't it? We see the back of a powerful man sitting in a large wooden chair as a man in a turban and two other men give report to Mr. Bolt. So the Bond parallels seem to be rising for me at this point.
It's a good name. That's a good bad guy name. Bolt.
Bolt.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Bolt
Let's
dressing.
go
go
to
ahead.
your world, Robert, and say, couldn't this have been a little bit better to be like more nefarious? Like it's just like
They were going very dark here. There was not a lot of
Yeah.
I agree.
He's kind of hanging out in his foyer.
yeah, it's like
Makes me wonder how much access they had to this house because it's a big
yeah,
mansion.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
The other thing, though, if you guys notice, to this point, there's not been a lot of music. It's been the bit of music that we've gotten was the intro, and then whenever what's her name spaces
It's
out,
little music cues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when there's
But then
something
the rest of the
mystical
time,
happens.
there's like a lot of just silence, and you just hear
It
whatever
is.
the sounds of the room are.
that's another odd, different thing. Yeah, for sure.
Bolt dresses down the men, tells them they're not doing their jobs, and then Blofeld, whose real name is Duranian, comes barging in to tell Bolt he's found what he's been looking for. So Bolt has been looking for kids with the ability to see into the future, evidently. Just something.
Apparently, Bolt's whole thing is, I need psychics to make my business good, which is an interesting business tactic,
a
I
strange
guess.
business model you have
You
there.
know what's going to
Yeah.
happen to the markets. You just double down. Makes
Seems
sense.
like he's doing pretty well as it is.
needs to do better.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Can
They
always
need
do
it.
better.
They need to
Quarterly
explain
report.
that better, though. I mean, we have no idea why he wants these kids. I mean, just the fact that he's looking for them. That was it.
Yeah,
that's pretty
Suits,
weak.
so.
They kind of cover it later. I mean, I think it kind of builds a little suspense. Like what's he up to
I
here?
need
This
them
is
for
weird.
business. Although he needed to not be in the foyer. He needed to be at the long specter table where he
Right.
could push the
Yeah.
button and like the guy in the turban would fall through the floor and something like that.
It's-
Yeah, yeah. It's
You're
total
failed me in
foyer
those
vibes. Dark foyer.
back
Or
at
the
the
pool, sitting there, in the middle, drinking a drink.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd have been nice.
Surely access could have been provided to that. Yeah.
Back at the school, another nice shot of Blofeld's car or Duranian pulls up perfectly into frame and hits the mark with the profile perfectly in frame as they pull focus, Andy, as you were pointing out, onto the
Yep.
shot from the children playing to Duranian's face. I apologize for being so detailed, but these shots, I was really into this stuff. This is like nothing we hadn't seen in most of the Disney movies. They've always been they stay in their lanes, they do their shots. It's all, very by the book. And this is not by the book for the other. I mean, and like to your point, the $1 Million Duck is the same year. But
Man, where did they find these kids, though?
I don't know.
Some real waif children.
They went to some concert somewhere and just rounded them up. Or a local little league.
The next shot's the chrome side of the mirror, the back side of the mirror, and they pan up to see a Duranian standing there looking for the children that earlier, from looking for Tony and Tia. He sees them playing alone. He approaches them, thanks them for saving his life. They seem a little uneasy and quickly run in for lunch, and Truck rats them out, of course, tells Duranian, and they're just a couple of weirdos. Back in their room, Tony's playing the harmonica and making the crown draw in the mirror.
Oh man, the harmonica.
Yeah.
Guys, the harmonica.
The harmonica.
I don't like, why is this a device?
Well, first I have two thoughts. First, the fact that they get solo rooms is a coup. It's like, I doubt in this place that they get solo rooms. So that's a nice deal. Also, this effect with the crayon is, there are a lot of practical effects in this movie that are super effective, but made me think, like, today we wouldn't even think twice about it, because it's like, well, obviously, you just CGI a crayon drawing on a mirror. But I don't really know how they did this. And it's a good effect.
You can see the wires on the crown when it comes off. And then I'm guessing they had a magnet in it. And then they were able to, it would snap to the mirror, and then they could move the magnet around and it would draw.
I guess. I don't know.
That was my
I didn't see a wire though. I thought it was really well done. I was like, wow, because I was expecting it. So far, it feels kind of low budget, and so I was expecting low budget visual effects like that. But I thought that was really well done.
You could see the wire for like a split second, right when it came off the desk. I saw it. There was two picking it up, but
yeah, the harmonica, just no.
Tia walks in and sees what he's doing. The camera pauses momentarily on the mirror, and it's the same mansion we saw earlier with the barking dogs. Tia's star box is broken, and Tony slides the cover back to reveal a map with Stony Creek and Misty Valley on it.
Man, some real great child acting when they found out it's a map. Whoa, it's a map. What? Oh, whoa.
And they keep saying each other's first names.
Yes, they do.
Which was great for my note taking, but also ridiculous.
What is it, Tia? I don't know, Tony. What do you think it could be, Tia? I don't know, Tony. I mean, it's just like the same thing over and over.
Tia goes into another memory trance, and we see a boat coming into the shot. She and Tony and a stranger struggle in the water. Tia notices the drawing on the mirror, and Tony says, "That's where the dogs are barking." Tia says he can only, this is interesting, Tia says he can only visualize places they know something about or places they're going to, which would, I guess,
very specific set of powers.
Tia is afraid, and Tony continues the harmonica as the barking grows louder.
Yeah. Toot, 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 toot.
The camera holds on the drawing and crossfades perfectly into the actual shot of the mansion.
See how they did it?
Mm-hmm.
Get it? It's that house.
It's the same one.
Should have drawn my house because my dogs are barking, I tell you what.
And inside, Bolt is sitting at a long dining room table at the head with a glass of brandy. Duranian says he's found the kids, and Bolt isn't buying it and threatens to fire him if these kids aren't for real. He needs some empathic kids with powers. Children specifically, evidently. He says he'll back him and forge papers to show that Duranian is their uncle and wants them brought to him immediately. Duranian, who's going by Uncle Lucas now, is taking custody of Tia and Tony. Tia sees through the lies that Unky Luke isn't their uncle.
Never mind the accent.
Can't you see the resemblance?
Come on, children. The kids arrive at a large compound and are stopped at the gate by henchmen who checks to see the children in the back. He begins to sneeze uncontrollably at the sight of Winky. Their cat seems kind of strange at the time to have a guard sneezing uncontrollably at a cat, almost like we need to remember that for later.
The security guard is from an entirely different movie.
I love the security guard.
He's pretty amazing. He's wearing today's clothes tailored fit.
And I think he has the shortest arms of any security guard ever.
It's really
The short arm of the law.
He's like a long torso and a short arms.
It really is from another movie. It's like such comic relief that is not like pointed out at all.
Yeah. Hi,
It's
Master
just-
Duranium.
Very odd.
I'm allergic to cats.
The henchman lets them through with a large pull lever, which I found that kind of funny, this giant lever.
It's like Count Dracula's castle gate with that lever. That was quite a lever.
They pass a pen full of dogs training to attack just like in a James Bond film.
So
Naturally.
James Bondy.
Guys
So
climbing
James
rope.
Bondy.
Shooting guns.
For any children who are afraid of dogs, they're going to be scarred for life.
Mhm.
Is it Wayne's World where he's like, I always wanted to open a door and find
Yeah, these guys are like practicing kung fu and stuff. Yeah. Tony asks what xanthus means, and Unky Luke says it's xanthus, and that's what Mr. Bolt calls his house. So interesting name. Mr. Bolt emerges with ice cream and says he'll show them to their quarters.
He emerges with a butler who has ice cream.
Right. Pardon me.
This butler is
Look, children.
is so happy to have his little ice creams in his
It's
hand.
pretty amazing. Yeah, he's really stoked.
I finally get to do some butlering now.
Yeah.
Bolt, his greeting to these kids is super weird. He's like, "Oh,
yeah.
you're so attractive."
Yeah.
So strange.
Let's see, how do
Yeah.
they explain that? I missed that part. How do they explain why they're going to Bolt's house, not going with Uncle Luke or whatever his name was?
He just says, Duranian says, "This is my boss, and
He's going to let you stay here. Yeah.
and we all stay at his house."
And again, we just go with it. We're like, okay,
Yeah, the kids are like, "Oh, all right.
all right, whatever. Okay.
What an attractive child."
They walk into what I would call a kid's 1970s dream room. So what's going on in this room, guys?
Man, so
Man.
this is where my memory of the movie stops until the very end, but I remember this room well. It's kind of a little Today's Special vibes, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say it's a little it reminds me of like some department store that I have like forgotten, but
Yes.
it's like shades of Eastridge Mall and Gastonia, North Carolina, I guess. It would be my guess.
The
Also,
sody fountain. I want that sody fountain.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I know this movie came later, but it reminded me of The Toy when
It does
Yes.
remind me of the toy. Yes. Yes.
Yes, it does.
And there's like a carousel horse that reminds me of downtown Shelby, like just on a pole, like sitting there. Oh man, this place is like, what was up with the 70s and like clowns and marionettes? Is what I
I
wanna
don't know.
Well,
This would have been such a cool like setting, but then they go to the clown right away.
Yeah.
Like, just no, it's the whimsy. No, thank
It
you.
is terrifying.
You can ask my mom because
Yeah.
she decorated my room as in clowns, and I was really little.
Well, Michael's room was decorated in clowns growing
like
up.
creepy clowns.
No, not creepy.
Mine
Yeah.
were
Michael's-
not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you play with clowns a lot?
Well, I had a stuffed clown. That was my thing. I carried around with when I was real little. So
Was
I'm
he
sorry,
was he a
guys.
really
Yeah.
funny clown?
his name was Clowny. If that mean so
Clowny.
he must have been really
Clowny.
good.
We had a leftover clown light switch
Oh, that's right.
sheath, whatever those are called.
Yeah, like a light switch cover kind of thing.
Yeah, cover. Yeah.
Gee.
That was like left over from your clown room, but luckily your clown room went away before I really remember anything.
I mean, it was not
light
heavily clown. It wasn't as clowny as this room in the movie.
Mine had
No.
Mine had like wallpaper and pictures of the clowns everywhere.
You were full on clown.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, look how you grew up.
Yeah, look
There
what
you
happened
go.
to me. I did all right, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Bolts.
Yes, you are, buddy. Yes, you are.
I like the modular aspect of this room. It's
It
got
is
these
cool.
little side nooks with different little things in them.
And it's like a V, which is always cool. It's like not a square or anything. It's nice.
Yeah, it's like a hub and spoke system.
Yeah.
Bolt says they're going to start writing lessons in the morning, and Winky has his own quarters too.
Like that.
Out the window, Unky Luke says Mr. Bolt owns everything in sight. Tia says she can see the sky, and Mr. Bolt storms out in disgust.
Well, you should show you the sky. I can own it. If I could own it, I'd buy it.
Stupid kid.
Someday I might
Stupid
own
kid,
that sky.
man.
You don't know.
Shut your mouth.
I own the air rights over this land.
All right. So you say that, and it made me think the whole time. I was like, what if this would have been Hawk instead of,
Oh, yeah.
It gets a little too dark for Hawk, I think.
I don't know.
These kids are freaky.
The next morning at the writing lessons, the Walt Disney World security guard for Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World is now giving writing lessons for a Bond villain down at Pebble Beach.
Oh, man. That's great. And he had to do all of his ADR. Somebody had to do it all over again. Hey, I am me. I am the guy.
Mr. Duncan, the writing instructor, warns Tia that old Thunderhead never been broke, to which Tia walks right in and talks to Thunderhead empathically and gets him to let Tia climb on and ride bareback, with Uncle Lucas watching on in amazement.
Like, chill out, kids. Just stop showing out.
Yeah, just dude, man, why can't you just...
I love this
Lay
guy.
low.
It's like, now, Tony, I know it's ladies first, but why don't you go? You might show your sister not to be scared.
How did they find this person?
Probably worked at like Fort Wilderness at
Yeah,
Disney
could
World in the barn. They're like, fly him out.
Tony pulls out the harmonica to have some fun. Tia covers up a plot hole by telling him to make things move without the harmonica, and he says he forgot how. Because earlier in the movie, he was making things move around without it, and then he just suddenly started using it, and then he quit again. But
I forgot.
Tony points out she can do a lot of things he can't do, like undo locks and stuff. Seems like a lot of information they're covering up here, or letting us know that they can and can't do. Again, being very specific with their powers. They shrug it off, and Tony begins to blow on the old mouth harp, making the marionettes they have in the room dance around. So how would you describe this scene, guys?
I would say this is going to stay with me for a while after we leave this movie behind.
Whimsy of the era.
Well, I was all right with it until the clown and the flapper bird start dancing, and that's when I was like, it got to be a bit much at that point.
Well, so this is like, I think my real takeaway is this starts to make me think, what are we doing here? Like, what's going on? Like, this is a waste of time. Like, I'm waiting for something to happen.
Oh, it's going to happen right now.
I guess. Does it ever? Really?
Suddenly, we see a TV monitor wall with cameras on the playroom, including cameras on their beds in their actual bedrooms.
Oh, quick interjection here. Talk about on his bed. There's like a clown hanging upside down, staring at the bed.
Yes, I saw that. Gosh. Yes.
I love it. I saw that. Also, the synth harmonica. Toot, 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 toot.
Yeah.
It's very Pod People vibes. Forced whimsy to synth music.
Bolt and Durrani are watching the kids play using their powers. And Duranian says he's having more hidden cameras installed so he can gather evidence. Bolt says if that doesn't get them on our team, then we'll have to resort to cruder methods of punishment or persuasion.
This guy is impatient.
What in
Yeah.
the world are they going to do, though?
It's big money does, man. Just makes you lose perspective.
Man.
Hey, kids, we've got this picture of you moving marionettes around. Now you'll be on our side.
We're going to blackmail you with this.
Yeah.
That night, Tia's in bed spacing out again. Tia's uncomfortable with all this stuff. Tia feels that Bolt is mean, and Tony reluctantly agrees they need to get the heck out of here.
But this space out, though, she is like, I thought she was dead.
That's what I thought. I wrote Tia's dead. She's dead.
Like her mouth and eyes are open and she's just staring at the ceiling. It's on her back on the bed. And he's like talking to her and she's not moving. It's
the
rough.
end.
The end.
So with all the hidden camera, creepy, slimy camera stuff they're doing right now, we wrap up Act 1 on a very dark moment.
We fade into a lushly appointed dining room, albeit very dark. I mean, these people liked it dark back then. Super dark. We have some flambe going on, which I would expect from this time period. Bolt says, "Let's cut to the chase. We're dealing with two extraordinary children." Starts to speak freely despite Duranian's protests. He says, "You could walk through a field and see if there's oil in it. You can foresee revolutions if you could get to these kids." The kids say, "Don't excite yourself. You should go to bed." They chase off Duranian as well, saying it looks like he could use some sleep as well. Man, these kids are really persuasive.
Yeah, how,
They
Was-
did, yeah.
I'm confused. Was that they using mind control or like?
Yeah, doing the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's like,
what it had to have
okay.
been.
I mean,
Because they're like,
Yeah.
you look sleepy. You should go to bed. And they're like, okay.
Maybe I am sleepy.
no, come
I'm
to think
sleepy.
of
I
it, now
should
that
go
you
to
mention
bed.
it.
I laughed when they cut to the scene. Donald Pleasence is in the foreground. He's got a place setting. He's got a plate in front of him with just a whole apple sitting on his plate. And it's the only thing there. It's just like an apple, like a big red apple sitting on his plate.
Needs
Which
that
I just thought
He had
chicken,
it
man.
peeled, didn't he, or partially peeled or something?
Yeah, he starts to peel it during
Okay.
the scene, and then like is
I thought
eating it as they leave.
I thought he was using like a fork and knife, kind of like George
Yeah.
Costanza.
Or just I eat my
on the
apple
Snickers
with a
bar.
fork and knife. It's classier.
Well, the kids talk to themselves telepathically. They said even if they wanted to, they wouldn't teach them about what they do because they don't know how it started. They don't know how they got their powers. Tia starts to have another cloudy flashback. This time, the people in the water were waving at a light. But now we cut to Duranian and Bolt talking in another room. Great diagonal shot, Robert.
This was a fun shot. Yeah.
Yes,
This is Batman, the series show.
little Batman, yeah. They said they can't escape Bolt's other place in the snow. What is that? I don't remember that.
Chalet.
Yes.
Yeah, the chalet.
We'll take
Can't
him
do
to the chalet. There they will never escape.
That night, the kids hear Duranian coming or foresee him. I don't know what's happening anymore. It's hard to tell because it gets a little surreal.
Yep.
But they're going to make a break for it. Tia gets the door open with her mind. And they're off and out towards a rocky shore. You know it's down there, man.
Those dogs. Those dogs. Also, really weird swimming pool.
It's true. It's true.
So before I watched this movie, I just been watching Stranger Things,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like it feels like that whole 11 character and this girl. It was kind of like when you guys made me watch. Oh, you didn't make me, but you said, "Why don't you watch Taxi Driver and then watch Freaky Friday?" And how that influenced my view of Jodie Foster's character and stuff. And so I don't know. There's something I guess I shouldn't have watched Stranger Things than watch Escape to Witch Mountain.
In her own way, she was trying. 11's always trying to escape to Witch Mountain. It's true.
It's true. So they have what I am convinced is the same alarm noise as Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo when the kids break out. And they release those pesky dogs to look for the kids.
I can't believe they yes.
Yeah, poor idea. Poor idea.
They released the hounds on the dog or on the kids. It's like,
you're training the dogs to be as savage as possible. You really want the kids to help you find oil in a field. And I don't know.
Yeah, you got to think about the end game here. What is the end game of this scheme?
The kids run through the forest with dogs in hot pursuit. And when they reach the gate, Tia talks to the dogs and sends them back to the very bad men that are after them. So she talks to the dogs.
Yes, the ADR of these thugs when the dogs come after them.
Oh, man. That reminded me of Help.
I'm glad you said that, Mike. I wrote the same thing down. I was like, this is amazing. This incoherent babble.
Yeah, I was cracking up at this point. Yeah, when they started.
I mean, that's the kind of, there's a couple of things, I feel like it could do well. That would be one of them, Just make a whole crowd of people, one by one, overdub it. Yeah. Oh, hey, whoa, no.
A living tribute to Dean Jones.
I saw another one the other night. I was watching the movie Maverick.
Mel Gibson.
Great movie.
It is a good movie.
And then, I always said I could do the infomercial, like the person messing up, in black and white.
Yeah.
Be good. I could also, I feel like, do like the person who's like being tied to a post, like the kind of saloon character that gets tied up and is like struggling with the rope and like grimacing. You could do that too.
It's a niche.
It's a trope. Yeah.
That's a good niche. Yeah.
I should have put a reel together, Robert. You can help me with that.
Put that on your LinkedIn.
It's like 3 shots and that's it.
But Steve, you like trying
messing
to put
with duct tape, getting tied up to a post in a saloon, and
fumbling
and doing a whole crowd of
for your consideration.
Anyway, Tia pages Thunderhead the Tricky Horse with her mind. And Tony is trying to wait on the harmonica to open the gate, so he's got the force. So that must mean they did the force mind trick.
It would have been,
but eventually, we'll go ahead.
I was going to say, as a plot device, the harmonica stinks. I think we all
can
agree with that. It would have been much better, like if he had like some sort of medallion that he could rub or something. She had
something
the box.
Mysterious, yeah.
So she had the box that seemed like that. Maybe that had some powers or something, and then he could have had something that he carried, like around his neck or something
of some sort.
There's never any explanation about how he got the harmonica or like that he liked playing it. It's just like there, and the sound is terrible. It
feels like it. I felt like they inserted it later, like they like when they were writing it. We need something because there's a scene coming up where they need and why don't we just give him a harmonica? That'll work. He can blow on it.
I don't know. It can be a harmonica. It can be anything.
It can be anything.
Yeah, maybe. Well, eventually the cat is the one who breaks him free as she goes into the guardhouse and spooks out the kooky guard who is so allergic to cats.
Yeah, there you go.
Deposit return. There you go. The kids get lifted by Tia up on Thunderhead and are off. Well, much to the consternation of Bolt, who is incredulous, much like the rest of us.
There's a shot there with they throw Winky, like some production assistant has to toss the cat, and I think Tia was it Tia or Tony? One of them grabs out of midair. I mean, they just throw the cat into the air, and then they grab him while they're on the horse.
Yeah.
How's the cat acting at this point?
Yeah. I mean, he could have winked and like really winked,
Yeah, his name is Winky.
and they had to do a tricky camera gag to make him wink. That was wink.
Yeah, some Hollywood
Oh,
magic on that
yeah.
wink. Oh, Thunderhead drops the kids off at some distant location. Bye, Thunderhead, I guess. Nice.
It's at the vet.
Yeah, they found a vet. Yeah.
The kids hear sirens, so head off to try to avoid pursuit. They end up at a general store. Man, count me into this place. We see a Mr. O'Day loading up a Winnebago with a lot of stuff. Evidently more than a covered wagon, heading out of St. Joe. Mr. O'Day is annoyed, but claims he's about to head out all over the U.S. One man's dream.
Totally.
He's
I'm down.
really crusty.
Oh, yeah. He is pure cantankerous.
Oh, he
What
is.
What was the show that guy was in? Was it Green Acres?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, he totally burns the guy at the gas station who's helping him, too. He's like,
Total burn.
so
coming up.
lazy.
Bolt and Duranian stop O'Day and ask him if they've seen the kids. And he says he'd just assume let them run, provided they're headed the opposite direction of him. I hate kids.
Hates kids.
It's bizarre because they
Hates
just
kids.
pull up and they're like, "We're looking for 2 children."
Yeah. It's like,
They're runaways.
We're clearly evil people looking for 2 children. We see the Winnebago by day stopping on a coastline, and O'Day gets out. He's looking off
So
the ocean.
I couldn't because those earlier shots were at night, right? Or supposed to be at night. They were day for night. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
they
it's
must have
time-
run all night.
Time has passed.
Yeah.
So yeah, did he drive all night? And then there's a shot of one of the goons driving the. It looks like a big Lincoln at this point. It's not a Cadillac anymore, and he's wearing sunglasses at night, so they had a continuity error on that one.
I didn't feel like their shots of him loading up the thing was at night. O'Day.
I
Yeah,
thought
that
because
was- that was
they
a
had.
day.
I just watched this like second act again before we started, and they had the lights on at the general store, and it was
It's morning.
it
perhaps.
morning, early morning.
Morning in America. Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy that then. Okay, so it was early morning.
I love that
They ran all
Jason
night.
goes like off-roading in his Winnebago. Like, as a
Nothing seems
Winnebago-
like it could do whatever, you know?
You're probably right. You're probably right.
But it was heavy as sin. Yeah,
All
probably
that
not.
food.
But yeah, one man looking off to the ocean. You know, maybe he's doing a coast to coast thing. We don't know. But he sees the black cat. He sees old Wiki because the kids and the cat are in the Winnebago. He takes kindly to the cat and decides to get it some tuna. I'm sure he has a huge pile of tuna in the back of his Winnebago. Only to discover those pesky kids. Damn kids.
Covered in flour.
He says, well, I'll cook you some breakfast, but don't get any ideas. He does not like kids, especially runaways. You 2 scamps.
He's also like his inner monologue. He's just speaking it to. He's like,
Yeah.
"Get out of here!" Well, nobody should ever go hungry.
That's right.
Yeah.
He does take a lot of right turns. It's amazing. I hate kids, but you all seem nice. I don't know.
Maybe I spoke too soon.
Yeah, maybe you're not so bad. I don't know. Maybe you are. I don't know.
I don't even like breakfast. Who wants some breakfast?
After breakfast, yeah, like a
This
breakfast.
is fine. This is good.
Stupid breakfast. I hate it.
This dude. Oh, meanwhile, we see Duranian driving up to a roadblock.
Oh man.
Man, the horn on that car sounds like a freaking train.
And I love. He just pulls in, goes, "Huh."
It's like
honks his horn right when he pulls in, as if he needs to get their attention. I love that.
great. Oh, one of the police officers said he let through a camper, so they proceed out in the direction of the Winnebago.
There's some nice location shooting on these.
Yeah.
Although the highway patrol picked a really precarious parking location there by the
Picture
bridge.
the budget going up from nothing. Yeah, they've got that, whatever that bridge is. What is that bridge?
I
Is that
can't- I
the
don't-
bridge?
That is, I think, the bridge there on the
Yeah.
101. Yeah.
As featured on, what is that show? That HBO show with Nicole Kidman and all them. It's all over that show.
Oh, really?
Liars or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So, Witch Mountain or that show, whatever. Same place, essentially same story.
Same universe. That'd be great.
Yep. By now, the kids are explaining themselves to the grumpy old man who says, maybe it's the truth, maybe it ain't. But I'm not going to complicate things. I'll be on my way. Only he can't find his keys. Where'd my keys go? Tia says he should have a spare on him, which is a really funny line to me of like, you should have spare keys, old man. But his response is even better. He says, I know, young lady, I am not a losing man.
Yes, I love that line.
Best line wins.
I am not a losing man.
I'm going to start saying that to my son.
I'm gonna say
I know, young man, I am not a losing man.
I'll say it to my wife when I lose the fight.
Yeah, right.
It's like I bested you again, Andy. Well, no, you didn't. I am not a losing man.
As I cry and get my blanket for the couch.
And turn on
I want to
another
sleep here
Disney
tonight.
movie from the 70s.
I fall
to
asleep
watch.
going, I am not a losing man.
I gotta watch The $1 Million Duck Part 2. The kids make a deal for passage with O'Day and return to make the Winnebago go. Tia says, sir, the engine will start now, which really cracked me up. Very formal. And it does, which shocks the man, like it would. The cat brings the keys in, and the man laughs and says, oh, we have a deal. To me, would that be charming or just creepy as crap?
Red flag.
I
Red
think
flag, yeah.
Mr. O'Day takes a lot in his stride that I probably wouldn't.
Well,
He's just like, what do you know?
He's not a losing man, You gotta.
He's not losing his cool.
Undersized land pirates, as he calls them.
Every movie we watch, there's always one character that I'm like, I want to know more of their backstory. And this is the one that I want to know more about. I want to know the prequel for this guy.
I mean, has he killed somebody before? I'd say likely.
Yes.
Drifters.
There's a body in the different part of that Winnebago.
He's got something.
Oh, let me see if I can get you some tuna.
Yeah. Because what he was going to do is he's going to throw that body in the ocean and then the cat shows up.
Maybe he threw the body in the ocean. And
That's what
that's
he
why
was
he was
doing,
so happy. He's like, yes.
His
It's been a
his
great
wife
trip.
that he killed. He's killed his wife and he's thrown her body in the ocean.
Oh, man. But, yeah, so he makes a deal with them. He says, if you clean up in the back, he'll take him to Stony Creek, which is next town over. Tia remembers another episode, still hazy, so stay tuned for that. Something about lights and rescue. But Duranian is in fast pursuit with a guy with cool glasses. Man, that guy.
That guy is something else.
And the old Winnebago man, O'Day, he's filling up, harumphing about the prices for gas.
I loved it.
Great.
Time is a flat circle.
I want to be Jason O'Day when I retire. I was just watching that.
Yeah.
You might be.
How's your day going?
I
Not
can
great
see
now,
this,
thanks to
Rob.
your stupid gas prices.
It was a pretty nosy attendant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of your business.
Well,
Butt out, pal.
yeah, he was
to the
peeping.
point. Yeah, he goes to make a phone call, but to who? Who's he calling, man? Back in the Winnebago, Mr. O'Day has about 7 cartons of milk just loading up. He's got a real, end of civilization vibe. Like, what is the mission here? Just get all the flour and milk you can and just go right off in your Winnebago? Where are you going, buddy?
What's he doing with all the flour? Is he a big baker?
I thought, what if he's going to that camp in the desert in Independence Day where Randy Quaid is?
There you go. I just thought it'd been funny if he had had a thing of diapers because he doesn't know what kids wear.
Well, yeah. I got you some breakfast and
Here
some
you go.
diapers if you need to.
I got
If
you
you
the
need-
pull-ups. They seemed about your size. You're a big kid now.
Oh, man.
He's going to Burning Man.
Yeah, it could be. So just as they're marveling at, I guess, the milk, a cop comes up on a motorcycle. Cop pulls him over and Tony has to resort to the harmonica
Oh God.
yet again.
This was rough.
He wails on it, and the officer's motorcycle gets off its kickstand and drives into the ocean.
Pretty lackadaisical
Which-
cop here. He just sort of stands there.
This
Like,
cop,
he must have.
the no reaction highway patrol.
Chips.
It's like, I'm going to stand here and watch this thing slowly turn itself on and then drive off a cliff and just stand there.
Yeah.
I feel like the motorcycle was like $1 Million Duck level, like that effect of it moving up on the kickstand and like,
Yeah.
But like Blackbeard's ghost to me.
Yeah.
There we go.
There
There
we
we
go.
go.
I was
That's it.
thinking
That's
Blackbeard's ghost because it definitely. This is where it starts feeling very Disney now.
it. Yes.
Just the
And like
dumbfounded
the
guy.
seaside antics of, that kind of shoot. I don't know.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like the cop would have pulled his gun or something and wanted everyone out.
I feel as if he would have done literally anything.
Anything
except
else.
anything else but nothing. Would
But nothing,
just
yeah.
be, what?
I tell you what Mr. O'Day does. He just unceremoniously pulls out, which made me laugh out
Yeah.
loud. It's like,
See ya.
Like, that was weird.
Yoink.
It keeps going.
What the world was that? Well, let's get going, kids.
Oh, back in the Bago, Mr. O'Day is loving it. Like he is all in now. He says, well, he may not drop them off too soon. He can find them an honest day's work. Tia has another flashback with more detail, thinking the hazy memory involved fishing? Mr. O'Day and the kids stop and have a picnic in the dark
In Franklin.
in Franklin.
I felt like they had a North Carolina mountain vibe to it.
Yeah,
It did. It really did.
It did.
The heat is on too much on the street. The kids explain to the man that they think they come from the area on the map that was recently referenced, hidden in their starry box. Remember their shock? What? A map? Tia
Tony,
has
it's
another
a map.
flash. Yeah, it's a map. Tia has another flashback of the kids getting rescued in a Zodiac. So she realizes there was an accident at sea. Someone saved her star case, but who?
And then she realizes that Jason is the Zodiac killer. It was all a clue.
Yeah. And there were numbers
Jesus.
42, 3. Well, I can't remember the numbers from Lost. But O'Day is fully in now. Like he's loving it. He's gone from damned kids to these kids got to hang out with these kids.
Yeah, they're gonna get me out of some tickets.
And he says this extremely creepy line that is poorly timed in the whole movie with the dialogue where they're like talking and he's like, I wonder how I'd handle you kids if you were mine. Oh, well, that's why I never married.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
I wonder how I'd handle you kids if you were mine. But the kids both know he was once married in their secret power world. They can describe the house that O'Day had.
See a knife. There's blood.
Evidently, the wife died a few months after O'Day was married to her and took an oath never to get close to anyone again because he killed her. You know.
He can't control his impulses, so he vows to stay away from civilization in his Winnebago and just drive the countryside.
Well, yeah, he does not like them knowing his secrets. So he says, we might as well call me Jason because you know everything else. Then he quickly recovers and just says, let's clean up and get some sack time. Why don't they just leave?
Yeah.
Drive
What are
all
they
night,
doing?
man.
That's what I'm saying. They can't do that anymore. He did that too much when he was in Korea. Duranian is in his car, calls the sheriff. And we get quite the interesting shot between the sheriff's feet. Robert, we got the 2 boot shot here.
Yeah, there were some interesting takes here. The whole sheriff thing in particular. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
maybe they switched cinematographers at some point because it seemed like the cool shots started to kind of wane here into late in the second and third act. But
The sheriff is an interesting character. And I feel like maybe put in there for comic relief, but I don't know.
Feels like a character from from the Big Lebowski or something. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what-
he
Or
did.
like
He has a
from-
Jeff Bridges vibe. Yep.
Yeah, it also kind of reminds me of something from like a way older movie from the 30s. Like there's like not a lot of dialogue and like a lot of like making faces kind of at the camera, like, oh yeah, very interested. Yeah,
I'm gonna get
Yes.
this catch.
That's just-
$1,000, you say?
very interesting. Duranian and his cryptic yet cool driver spot the Winnebago in the woods. I don't know how they did that.
I declare shenanigans on them finding the Winnebago
Yeah.
like this. They're on like frontage road down by the Old Mill Stream and see it in a little campsite.
Not the KOA. They're just driving by the KOA and saw
Yeah,
him down there.
let's drive down through the campground and
Go in
see.
that last loop. You're forgetting. There's another one down there. Oh, yeah. They pull closer to investigate.
The day for night stuff starting to wear on me now. This point.
Yeah, yeah. The black cat is on the case in the Winnebago. Duranian's stooge pulls out a gun, but the cat is on the move.
Why do they
This
need a
cat is a
gun to
boss.
capture these kids? That was my question.
you know, because
Is
Well.
O'Day's a murderer?
No, because it's
Yeah.
the 70s.
Because it's the
Yeah.
70s. That's right. It's California in the 70s.
It's yeah. It's homes for orphans and guns.
Zodiac
Yeah.
killers.
that's right. They pull up to the Winnebago, but the cat literally gets a jump on them.
Love that
Jumps
cat.
down on them. Tia picks up the gun with her mind and
Oh
points it
my
at
God,
them.
This is amazing.
This is a little dark here.
I laughed out loud. I was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna shoot him!"
Yeah. It's like
Should
the
have cocked
end
it. That would have
again.
been really
Yeah.
dark.
That would happen now, right? If this happened. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess not now, but like
It does
10 years
cock,
ago.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does?
No.
I don't remember
It
Well,
does
I
that.
guess-
cock. Yeah,
there you
it
go.
totally does. She should have kneecapped him.
Take out a knee.
That'll slow you down,
He'll
mister.
live.
Yeah.
Like
He'll
a
live,
pistol
Tony.
whip with another one. Yeah.
I told you not to
Uh,
shoot anybody anymore, Tia.
Okay. Poof. Pistol
He'll
whip.
live.
Tony has a dumb expression on his face, and Jason O'Day takes off. These Jason O'Day takeoffs are great. And the Winnebago's like,
And then they just leave the gun laying there.
Peel
well,
it
they
out,
just like
man.
ran out of range, you know, like the powers wore off. It just drops to the ground.
Yeah, but Duranian and his chauffeur
Oh, yeah.
like run away from the gun.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
bewitched.
cursed.
O'Day is going to Longview, where his brother lives, to drop off the kids and make a run for it to be the decoy. But on the way, he's spotted by this weird 1930s actor sheriff who see the kids get out of the Winnebago. They go off looking for O'Day's brother, which, I mean, I hope they got better directions than we saw. Because they just like start off running. But they get caught by the sheriff, who exclaims, "Welcome to Longview." And with that, we end Act 2.
Sheriff, man.
The sheriff is...
He's a real
He's like
reactionary.
part
He's
Dukes of Hazzard and part like it happened on Fifth Avenue. I don't know.
Yeah, I got big taking him back to Boss Hog vibes for this.
Mm-hmm,
For sure. So we start off with Tony and Tia back at the police station as the greasy local sheriff fills out some paperwork. The kids give their names as Tony and Tia Castaway simultaneously, which doesn't make the sheriff happy. He grabs the keys and throws them in the clink, causing Tia to have yet another flashback to getting rescued. Apparently, the Castaway name drop wasn't a ruse. I thought it was just them being like I don't know, smart alecky or something. But it was some sort of recovered memory of when they were called Castaway. Tia thinks it means they spoke another language when they were found, and that's why they were slow learning to talk. So they had speech delay. She remembers speaking a funny kind of language and says that Uncle Benet spoke it to them. Tony says, well, who is Uncle Benet? And Tia thinks maybe he died. Maybe he died. He was a guy. Just then they start hearing the cops from the next room. Turns out Duranian is on his way, so the kids have to think fast. Tia goes to the window where there is, of course, a bear in a cage just sitting around.
This is really Lost vibes.
There's
now.
something you don't see every day.
Yeah. Put him with the bear in the cage.
There's a bear in a cage outside the window, Tony. Tia uses her powers to bring Tony's harmonica from the other room. And then she opens the cell door, since we've been told she can unlock locks. Somehow the sheriff doesn't hear any of this.
Yeah, what? I mean, granted, this sheriff doesn't seem like the best of the best, but somebody's like wailing on a harmonica and like locks are opening.
Yeah, like slammer doors coming open and everything. They're not being quiet about it. They make their way to the cell block door and peer through the grate at the sheriff, who's messing around with the star case. And Tony uses harmonica to build a kind of scarecrow from a raincoat, a hat,
automaton,
and a broom. Yeah. I didn't know what to call this thing. He's like hangs a raincoat on a hanger and puts it on top of a broom and puts a hat on top of that. And somehow the sheriff doesn't hear or notice the harmonica until Tony has the scarecrow thing start attacking him with the broom.
Oy.
Guys, I gotta say, I mean, I'm putting this in the top 5 scenes of anything we've watched.
Yeah.
It's something.
It is legendary.
It is great.
And I do not remember this at all.
I don't
I didn't
remember.
either. Yeah, this is.
I remembered so much from this movie. I did not remember this at one bit whatsoever.
It's so amazing.
Then when the sound he makes, he's like, "Grrr."
So good.
And the sheriff is like terrified.
Well,
He,
I
like,
would be terrified.
dives behind a chair and
What's the
is
only
like,
appropriate reaction we've seen in the movie so far?
well, that's true. That is true. It does look like a kind of twirling attack. It's like something from Kingdom Hearts. It like twirls and slaps him with its like long arms. And then starts going at him with the broom. This would make a lot of really good animated GIF files, I think.
Oh,
We'll have to get on that.
absolutely.
Then there's
Yeah,
that-
we gotta do it.
There's that gunshot sound like, it just falls to the ground. I was like, what was that?
Oh,
Well,
man.
Tia thinks this is delightful because the sheriff is like terrified and screaming, and Tia's just like, this is great. And she goes off to do something with the bear. But then Tony somehow inflates the thing because it
Yeah,
like
what?
inflates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know what was inflating, like the
So it's-
raincoat.
His other power.
Why would that be a thing that happened in the
I didn't understand that either.
the idea of this scene?
Well, we got to do something with that raincoat. How about it just blows up?
It blows up and explodes.
Ah, okay. So that was the gunshot.
So that's the
sound.
pop. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
gunshot because it pops when it blows up. Because at first I was like, is that somebody like behind it just holding it up? I'm like, no, it's inflating. So it explodes, and the sheriff is just like, oh no, behind his
My
chair.
raincoat.
Like the raincoat like falls on top of the chair. So it's like he's got a little fort in the corner of the room. And is just kind of hiding there. Outside, Tia's letting the bear go, just in the middle of town because
And to the town, you know, earlier you had said it was in Franklin. This felt like it was in Spruce Pine, North Carolina to a T.
Yes,
like,
it
where
did.
was this town?
yes, it did. It
Yeah,
doesn't
where did
feel
the-
California at all.
Okay, so I put my notes. I was like, I think this sheriff gives me like Brian Dennehy vibes. I was like, is this
Oh.
the same town that Rambo blew up? in
Yeah.
Fresh Blood?
Yes, I thought
Yes.
the same thing. I was like, that was up in Oregon, though. I was like, they shot all this in California.
Yeah.
Like, we should do this movie all over again, but this time we have like a disgruntled Vietnam vet. You know,
it plays into, especially what kind of happens next. So yeah, it works.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does feel like that. That is totally what it feels like. So anyway, with the bear loose, all three of them, the kids and the bear, head off into the wilderness. But back in town, we've got kind of a lynch mob vibe going on as a bunch of
here we go. It's Rambo.
bunch of locals have shown up with their shotguns and are harumphing at the sheriff.
And that
He
one guy.
is-
That one guy.
Oh my
That
gosh,
one-
this guy.
Hey, sheriff.
Oh man, I was in tears laughing at this guy.
We're gonna chase him into the mountain or what?
Hey, sheriff, what you gonna do? Chase them all the way to Witch Mountain or what?
Tim Robbins as posse member.
He has his hair like this big, like
It is like a pompadour.
pompadour,
So good.
and he's like bobbing his head and he's talking like he's really like excited and worked up, ready to go do some shooting. And just
You know, I'm on IMDb right now, and I'm looking at the picture of the actor who played Truck, and he kind of looks like this character does now.
nice.
Yeah.
Beats his kid.
He grew into his truckness.
Yeah.
This crowd's in a frenzy. The sheriff is mad about his encounter with the whatever, the wraith, and has got the crowd whipped up and says the kids must be witches from Witch Mountain.
This is a great like case study in how to act when you're in a posse. You know, like there's some people really like not doing much, and some people are doing like a lot.
Yeah, doing all
This
the
is
work.
a
Yep.
good combination. It's a really good posse.
Yeah, you get the bulk. You get the number of people not doing much to give it bulk, but then to
Right.
give it that spicy flavor.
Yeah,
You,
some people in the background who never get seen are doing like the most. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's like
Is this the first reference to Witch Mountain?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is
which
kind of weird.
Which mountain is that?
Moving on.
You'd think that with the importance of Witch Mountain, we would have
That's
heard
good,
of it
yeah.
before, but
Right.
apparently it's well
Bolt
known
should
in
have
these
mentioned it,
parts.
I would have thought. I was expecting Bolt to bring it up.
Yeah. Like,
Yes, which mountain? I bought it once.
Well, the mention of Witch Mountain really gets the crowd going.
I
They
buy
are-
and sell Witch
Yeah,
Mountains every day.
They cock their weapons. They're gonna go shoot those kids.
Yeah, well, the sheriff says he wants everybody to arm themselves, and they're going to divide into hunting parties.
We need more ammunition.
Hey, Sheriff, we need more ammunition.
Sure.
Hey, Sheriff.
Well, this is when like that dude steps up and says, "Are we going to chase them to Witch Mountain or what?" And he says, "No, we'll cut them off before they get there." So they're going
What
to just
is
go
happening?
shoot them.
Yeah.
It's rough times in this little town. Duranian shows up as the rabble is dispersing. As sheriff tells him that the kids are evil themselves and must be caught. The hillbillies all load into the back of their trucks and go off to get more ammo. And but even Duranian's sensitive driver, his gun-toting driver, is worried. He says they've got blood in their eyes. There's no use trying to reason with them now. I
Get
just-
that we tried to shoot him earlier. But
Yeah, I was gonna say it says a guy just pulled a pistol on him earlier.
Yeah, he was worried. He showed up and he's like, it's a mob. This sensitive guy. So Duranian gets back in the car, gets on the blower, and calls for a complete check on Jason O'Day. He calls security. This is his thing now. Get me security.
Hello, security.
I want to know what Jason O'Day. I want the complete check.
I want the dossier. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
do a FOIA request on Jason O'Day because he's got a file a mile wide. Oh, back in the mountains of North Carolina, Tony, Tia, and the bear are running while a bunch of yokels search for them with their rifles out.
I'm also a little nervous for the kids being this close to the bear. I just wanna-
Yeah. This was like real bear,
Yes.
not
They're-
not special effect bear.
They're petting the bear. He's just milling around with them, just hanging out.
The bear plus kids plus posse started to feel really Mystery Science Theater-y to me.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good call. Totally. It's a big bear too.
The bear noises, man. The bear
The
Foley.
bear Foley was
Oh my
horrible.
gosh. I was like, can we get rid of this bear as soon as possible? Like,
That's what I don't want to jump ahead, but yeah, Michael. So they tell when they tell the bear to leave, the bear just goes, "Go!" Oh, it's so funny.
is that, oh man. Yeah. Who is doing that? They've got like a giant mason jar, I'm sure.
Well, to your point, Tony talks Tia into ditching the bear, and she doesn't want to let it go. But he's like, "No, we need to get rid of the bear." So she sends it into a cave to hide until sunset, when it can come out and do things. And this apparently hurts the bear's feelings, as she says. Oh, you hurt his feelings.
That's it, yeah.
It's so good. I loved it.
We need a bear, Foley, Mr. McDonald. Give us something good.
Felt like Jimmy McDonald.
This sets up a bit of business where some of the excited hunters from the hunting party close in on the cave. They think the kids are in that cave.
But the one guy, there's one guy that looks like there's 4 guys, right? And so, but one of them looks like he should not be there. He looks more suited for like L.A. or New York.
He looks familiar. Like I've seen him in something else.
It was Loggins and Messina from Sandy at Disney.
maybe
Well,
so,
yeah, and I gotta say, man, some serious style inspirations in this posse. It's like, man, I would wear that. I would wear that. I would wear that. I should be in a posse, I guess.
Definite Elmer Fudd vibes on some of the
Yes.
the hat wear.
It was a whole mix of people.
Oh, you
I would
guys
love
really know how
like a
to throw an
detailed
outfit
breakdown
together.
of like each of these guys, because it's a real cross section of guys.
Right.
So anyway, they close in on the cave thinking the kids are inside, and go inside and only find the bear. The bear's there waiting for him. Honks at him real big. They ditch their guns. They just
Oh, yeah.
drop them and run.
Yeah.
Throw your rifles away when a bear's chasing you. What are you thinking?
and Bear's lucky they didn't just unload on him.
I guess that's what
He's just
happened.
in the cave.
I guess they must be terrible hunters whenever they see like whatever they're after. Like, ah!
All right, boys, let them have it.
Run away.
Yeah.
We cut to Hiram O'Day's house. Hiram O'Day, where Jason is waiting for the kids. They come running down the road.
So-
Hiram's not at home, which to me is the great loss of this movie.
Well, he was murdered, I think. I think
Again,
Jason
another
killed him.
mysteriously absent person in Jason O'Day's life.
Be the
Hiram not appearing in this movie, O'Day.
the Disney Plus vehicle, the O'Days, you know. Jason and Hiram.
The O'Day brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can only imagine what Hiram O'Day must have been like. Like,
Well,
who
this
they
place
would
is
have.
very quaint. It's like an alpine setting for
Yeah.
him. So
Imagine like Lloyd Bridges, maybe.
Oh,
yeah,
that'd be
definitely
great.
Lloyd, yeah.
Lloyd Bridges would be perfect.
He's a good Hiram O'Day.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong day
yeah.
to quit smoking.
Jason, what are you doing? I thought you were out on the road. You vagabond.
He just starts skinning a deer right in front of the kids and
That's right.
guts his poor.
Gutting a deer.
Smoking a corncob pipe.
Or he's bleeding out a bear he killed. Oh, no.
Yes, you hear, brother? Yeah.
Then he gets and walks to the other part of the cabin and starts making sausage. Just starts putting meat in it and grinding it right in front of him.
Sausages. Is that what you're doing?
We use every part of the animal around here, kids. Nothing goes to waste at Hiram O'Day's.
That's funny.
Unfortunately, Duranian has gotten the background report on Jason, and which apparently includes where his brother lives. So he and his driver set off to the house.
15 minutes. We can be there in 15 minutes.
Probably, he checks his Garmin or something. I don't know.
That's right.
Be there in 15 minutes. Back at the house, Tia's trying to figure out how they both came up with the name Castaway. She's still on that. Jason is amazed that they know the word castaway. Like, you're smart
Yeah.
kids. How do you know what that
You know
word
what a
means?
castaway is.
Pretty smart.
What does Holocaust mean?
Do you ever watch gladiator movies, kid?
Do you like Gladiator?
Do you know what accessory to murder means?
Accessory after the fact means? Anyway, they both remember Castaway as the name of someone they're supposed to see. She says they were in some kind of wreck and were in the sea, and they had an uncle, Uncle Benet, who kept them afloat before he drowned. It's all starting to come back to Tia. They say they have to get to the mountains, and Jason says Hiram had written him letters mentioning Witch Mountain. Convenient. Says a place these strangers moved in and settled there. They kept mostly to themselves. No one knew where they came from.
But let's get them.
Yeah. Let's get our shotguns and go get them. Everyone decides, well, this must be Tony and Tia's people. It stands to reason. Hiram wouldn't write a letter unless it was important. You know.
He's like Ron Swanson now. That's what I'm envisioning.
Yeah. A group of people who would take clothes and make them into automatons to attack people with their whirling.
Strange folk. Duranian's on the way in, though, and he calls security again to have them tell Bolt about where they are, to give them their location. Bolt immediately goes out and gets in his customized helicopter. I love that.
With your name
That's
on the
a
side.
nice looking helicopter, man. It's real nice.
These guys are about to get their heads chopped off.
Yeah, that's true.
Right there.
Yeah, it was a little safety hazard there. Anyway, he gets in his helicopter to head to Hiram's, where Duranian is just arriving. This sets off Tony and Tia's spidey senses, and they head out back to get in the Winnebago. Tia sends out another psychic message to the bear that they need help, and it books it in their direction. This is a speedy bear. Apparently, it got over its hurt feelings and decides to.
Oh, he's stoked. He's like, oh, they want me back.
Yeah.
They really do like me. The gang gets into the Winnebago and goes tearing off again. But when Duranian tries to give chase, the bear is in his car.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
That was great. Kind of eating the seatbelt, too. It's kind of gumming the seatbelt. That was fun. And he just kind of stares at the bear in his car. Tia keeps having memories about all the people who died on their ship. Tony says that all of the people in Witch Mountain came from the same country in different ships. Tia says, it wasn't a country, it was a place. It's not there anymore. Tony agrees, says the design on Tia's star case was the emblem from where they used to live. Jason's like, 2 stars? Never heard of a place called 2 stars. It's like, well, it's
the 2-star kids.
Tony says it's because their world had 2 stars. The emblem.
Scandinavia.
They came from another
Tatooine.
world. Yeah.
See, all right. Then this happened. It took a turn that I did not like. I was all in. I'm like, okay, these are witch kids, cool. And then all of a sudden, now we're aliens.
Yeah,
that was
the head fake.
That was the turn you didn't like, Andy?
Yeah, that was it.
Up until then,
I'm like, this is great. I'm all on board. Like, what? Turned it off.
Head fake. I was promised witch. It's in the title.
Yeah.
They didn't need to be aliens. I mean, really,
They didn't.
No, they could have just been witches.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Andy.
O'Day seems to be taking the alien stuff rather well, though.
I said the same thing. Jason takes it pretty well, all things considered. Said,
The dude abides, man. You know, it's just another brick in the wall.
Far out.
I've been looking to get into the occult.
Far out, kid.
Jason, did you not hear us? We said we're aliens. Far out.
Take me with you.
All right.
Who wants some tuna?
Hey, man,
It's
that's cool.
Tuna.
That's cool.
You
guys like flour?
tuna and milk? Yeah. Our planet died because we didn't have enough tuna. Oh, yeah. They're from another solar system. And then Tony remembers everything. Says their planet was dying. The only remaining industry was making spaceships, which is an odd detail. And everyone bailed to head to Earth, but then their spaceship crashed, and they were the only ones to survive.
They weren't very good at making spaceships, evidently.
Yeah. It's the last one off the line. Again, everybody seems to take this all pretty much in stride. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. Another planet, sure. Why, that must have been a spaceship and not a boat you were on. Meanwhile, Bolt is circling Hiram's house in his helicopter and checking out the bear that's still in Duranian's car. We get a nice, binocular view of the bear.
That was
looking
really funny to me. Just like, let me look in this. Oh, it's just like the bear.
And they do multiple angles, and one made me wonder, like, was this a single camera that they just set it up multiple times and had the bear get out of the car multiple times?
All right, get back in the car again. Take 2.
All right, reset the bear.
All right, back to 1.
Call him One Take Yogi. The bear finally takes off. It gets spooked by the helicopter, I guess, and they leave to look for the Winnebago again.
They left me.
Meanwhile, we find ourselves in Stony Creek, which seems to have been abandoned, which is never explained why it's abandoned. It's kind of spooky Twin Peaks vibe around town. And Jason takes the kids to the Misty Valley Cooperative.
Oh, man. This place.
This place is great.
Very choice.
Yeah. I don't know how Jason knows to take the kids to the Misty Valley Cooperative or what the Misty Valley Cooperative is.
Well, here's all I'll say to that. There's a lot of talk about looking for IP to put in Disney parks these days. And you just plop the Stony Creek River Inn and the Misty Valley Cooperative down there, and I will give all my money. Let's do this.
Where you
Put it in there.
What would they have there?
Barbecue restaurant.
Barbecue restaurant and the meet and greet, maybe in the cooperative.
With a bear?
With the bear. That's a good idea. Or Mr. O'Day meet and greet. Or you could go on the Winnebago,
Rouching at you.
Yeah, Jason O'Day meet and greet would be good with an animatronic like bear puppet to his side.
Be like, a bear encounter.
And the cat.
Yeah. And then they sell tuna sandwiches.
The bear thing could be like the raptor thing at Universal, where it's like you're taking your picture with it and it's like, yeah. Then you get to yell at it and hurt its feelings.
Just its head sticking out of the bushes. Yeah. Oh, and it gets sad when you leave. That's right. Yeah. The Misty Valley Cooperative is a very mysterious organization. Also sounds like it should be the name of like a band from the era, the Misty Valley Cooperative.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a band that would have played in Tomorrowland back in like 1972, the Misty Valley Cooperative.
Progressive rock band, yeah.
Had some nice red carpet, too.
Well, it reminds me of this place in the woods behind our neighborhood called the Rooster Hut, where the JCs, the retired JCs, have a clubhouse in the woods. And it's kind of got the same vibe. And it
does. It does at that. We should have a whole podcast about the Rooster Hut.
The Rooster Hut's pretty epic.
You can't just drop that and walk away.
Well, this is a very overlap to the Rooster Hut.
The place in the woods behind our house called the Rooster Hut. Oh, man. Well, meanwhile, Duranian has found the hunting party, and he raises the bounty to $5,000, but adds that the kids have to be taken alive.
All right. Can we talk about this convertible? The fact that the hunters are riding around in a convertible.
Yes, it's like that. American Graffiti, but like a bunch of like yokel hunters riding around in it. Yeah,
I loved it.
The guys say, "Well, the kids aren't here, but they might be in the next town up the line, Stony Creek." So everybody saddles up. I mean, they just pile in the backs of these cars in this convertible and head for Stony Creek. Back at the co-op office, Jason and the kids are still cooling their heels because no one is there. Why? No one is in town, but it's never explained why. Again, I'm so confused. There's some leaps here that I don't quite understand.
They're like, oh, we gotta wrap this thing up. And it starts to get a little sloppy.
Yeah.
Not that it was ever like tightly conceived.
No, that's totally what it's like. Well, they're like, well, wonder where everybody is. And Tony's like, I know, it's just got something to do with the phone book. So he goes to the phone book and apparently finds something. I don't know what. And then he gets on the phone and makes a call to the Misty Valley Cooperative. Which the guy's like, Misty Valley Cooperative. Which they're at the Misty. I don't
Yeah,
understand
what
what's happening.
is happening?
Yeah.
I got really confused about that.
Really confused. Like, what did he see in the phone book? He's like, oh, I know, we should call the place we're at. It'd be funny if there was like a guy just in the back room on the phone that hadn't heard them and was like, oh, you should have rung the bell.
This plays into my whole A-Team theme. You know, remember how Hannibal would like put something in like a newspaper and then people would like see it and then they would do that thing and then that's how they hired the A-Team. It was like the same kind of thing here.
Maybe this is it. Somebody picks up at the Misty Valley Cooperative phone number. Tony says he's looking for the Castaway family. The guy's like, oh, it's all right. It's all right. He says, are you looking for Mr. Castaway? Duranian drives up outside, but Tony stays on the phone. They kind of hunker down. And the guy on the other end says, oh, is this Tony and Tia? Thank the blessed stars. We've been looking for you for years. Says, now listen up. Everything's got a time out. So you should head out the back door to Jason's camper. And Tony immediately hangs up, which made me hope there wasn't important further instructions.
Right.
He's like, okay,
one
so
more
first,
thing.
go outside and get in the camper. Okay, bye. Click.
But whatever you do, don't click.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't turn left.
I did think though that it was I was expecting that to be the bad guys or something. You know, I didn't think that would be people that you should trust.
Or whoever eliminated everyone in the town, the people at the factory that put the toxic gas in the air that made everybody pass out or something.
We've been watching you for a long time, Tony.
You and Tia, thank the blessed stars. Not to worry, though, because as soon as they leave out the back, they get a psychic broadcast saying that the plan is to let Duranian follow them because the mysterious castaways have a surprise set up for him that will make the bad guys leave the kids alone forever. And everyone just kind of rolls with it. Duranian and the yokels all head off after the Winnebago. And when they catch up, things starting to get dicey. Tony pulls out his harmonica, of course, and uses his powers to chuck a sack of flour at the pursuing cars. In a scene that would make an impeccable animated GIF file again.
It would. And so far, it's been most of the effects have been all practical. You know.
Yeah.
But then this happened, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, everything takes a real turn right about here. Yeah, it's not great, but it's hilarious. The flower tags one of the yokel cars and sends it crashing into a tree. And there's more great ADR.
Yes.
With these guys getting out of the car. What happened there?
Oh, look out the door. He opens the door.
I'm upside down.
Yeah, that was great.
That's really good stuff. The psychic voice says, nice job, but don't forget, we want Duranian to see what's coming up. They want to convince him and Bolt that the kids are out of their reach forever. So the chase continues through the winding hills of California, and Bolt's helicopter starts doing some Magnum PI zoomies on the Winnebago.
Yeah.
Big Magnum vibes here. Bolt says, I found you a route, Duranian, that will allow you to cut off the Winnebago. Just turn hard left right now. So Duranian cuts a U-ey and heads off on a side road, which takes him ahead of the RV somehow. And he parks his... totally. Parks his massive land yacht so it's blocking the road, and Jason is heading towards it at ramming speed. But at the last second, he tries to evade, but instead the Winnebago goes soaring off into the sky.
Oh.
And thoughts here.
Oh man. You know, when a special effect is so bad that you mock it relentlessly as a child, it's not going to get any better when you're an adult.
No.
Like, why is it so bad?
That's what I don't get.
It's almost like it's animated, but it's not. It's just so
it's like
bad.
Monty Python.
Yes.
But I've never seen a visual effect like just end a movie like that. Just just stop it dead in its tracks, and everyone just be like, "Oh my gosh, this just takes everyone out of it."
Well, I thought the next special effect did it worse.
Did it worse, but I mean, this is where it really hits the wall, and then it gets worse from here. But yeah, it's odd because they're pretty good at this kind of stuff, and I mean, I know it's whatever. It's 1975, and there's only so much you can do, but there had to have been a better way.
Star Wars came out 2 years later.
Yeah. But did it have a Winnebago? I think not.
George Lucas saw this movie, and all of a sudden he got an idea for how to do the effects.
I will not have any Winnebagos in my movie. I will. The world is not ready for Winnebagos.
The Winnebago was too clean. It needs to be more lived in and dirty.
So I invented a way to do it.
We had a Winnebago and called it the Millennium Falcon. Anyway, more hillbillies go flying off the road into the lake, and we get some more Foley, and also always get to show that they're fine. Everybody gets to like get their scene of like getting out and like shaking their fist at the sky just to show that they're alive. Durrani and his driver watch the Winnebago fly off, kind of like Mary Poppins or something. Turns out this isn't Tony and Tia's doing, but someone else more powerful is making it happen. They drive the RV up beside Bolt's helicopter, where we get a multiple quintuple look take from Ray Milland. And then both the RV and the helicopter fly into a sudden intense bank of clouds that come from nowhere and is like driving into a wall of cotton. So these effects were not great.
Ugh.
No.
And we get like the shot of like Bolt in the helicopter with like the animated clouds coming over his face. Like the cloud is inside the helicopter or something.
No headphones. He's going to go deaf in that thing.
Yeah. Well, they come out of the cloud and he's like, that Winnebago's upside down. Winnebagos can't fly upside down. That's ridiculous. They shouldn't even fly at all. And but then he notices his hair standing up, and his pilot's hair is standing up. And then he realizes the helicopter's flying upside down.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. The way Winnebago was upside down, it'd be very odd.
Yes, but the helicopter's flying upside down, which is a thing that happens.
Pure evil, those kids.
Yeah, this is really silly. This is like Clutch Cargo animation of
It's just also played kind of straight. It's just like weird, like how long they hang on it. You know, like the shot.
Yes.
It's like upside down, upside down, upside down.
Get it? It's
like,
upside
what?
down. Helicopters shouldn't be upside down, but this one is. Yeah, if your shot is not working, you need to edit around that as quickly as you can. And they just let it play. They just let it go. It's rough. The Winnebago lands safely in a field. And the voice tells the kids to get out of the RV and wait, which they do. They start to say goodbye to Jason. I guess they know this is goodbye, or they know that we're running out of time. And give him Winky to keep him company. Jason says if they don't mind, he'd like to remember them as his own kids, which is kind of weird, but they seem down for it.
I thought it'd been funny. It's been like, the voice says we need to kill you because you know too much now.
And now the voice is telling us it's time for you to die. So they're hugging, and then as they hug, Denver Pyle comes out of some trees nearby.
Finally.
I know we were promised Denver Pyle in this movie, and it goes way too long without delivering.
Agreed.
Denver Pyle is dressed in what must be just his own Denver Pyle clothes.
Just wore a personal.
Just
word.
wore it onto the set.
Do you find it weird to hear Denver Pyle talking to his, like, not talking with an accent, like a Southern accent? Because he speaks very, normal, as I would expect his regular voice was. And it's kind of strange because I've only ever heard him talk as Uncle Jesse or Briscoe Darling or something like that.
Yeah. And it's also weird hearing him talk about like science fiction things.
Yeah.
Like, you, Earthman, you are a good man. I hope there are more men on Earth like you.
I done told you, Duke boys.
Anyway, this is Uncle Benet, by the way. That's Uncle Benet. It's very jolly, has kind words for the kids. And for Jason says, like I said, good to know there are Earthmen just like him. Hopes the other kids out there find men just like him. Apparently, they've lost a lot of kids. All the kids out there with their star cases and maps. Only Tony and Tia have found their way back.
Yeah, just kids on the lam.
Jason says, I'll keep my eye open to find more kids. And,
Bet you will.
Okay.
This feels like a setup for, like, this is like a pilot for a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And
Jason
it could be called
O'Day.
the Misty Valley Cooperative.
Brought to you by the Misty Valley Cooperative. Which we never find out what that means, but oh well.
It's a front, man. It's
A
front
shell
for the aliens.
corporation. Duranian shows up in his car, and Bolt is still flying upside down, still hanging on to that gag. Uncle Benet says, well, I'll have to take care of them both. Says, Jason, you can stay and watch, and you'll get to see how we came into this world. Which is
Baby.
ominous.
Yeah.
They head off into the trees while the bad guys circle around. We get some really special shots of Bolt's helicopter flying upside down very slowly.
It's upside down.
It's upside down, and it's getting closer very slowly till it lands upside down on its rotor, which was one of the other things I remembered from this movie. That's one thing I did remember.
Yep.
Was this upside down helicopter on the ground, which about takes out Duranian when it's swinging around.
Golly.
There's a little stunt work there from Mr. Pleasence. Duranian and his driver go to help Bolt get out just in time to see a flying saucer come out of the trees.
Ugh. I hated this. This is
Boo.
awful.
Boo.
Tony, Tia, and Uncle Benet are inside. They've got a little transparent window in the flying saucer that
kind of
fades
morphs.
away. Yeah. They wave goodbye to Jason before the saucer heads off in the direction of Witch Mountain.
I thought it'd just been funny though if they did a shot of Jason and he just like suddenly realizes what's going on and how strange everything is, and all of a sudden they'd do something like. That'd have been great. He's just been shocked. Then roll credits.
I could have loved it if he just like unceremoniously got in the Winnebago and drove off like
Just
right
left
close to.
and bailed.
Yes. It's enough of that.
Yeah. Well, that was a hell of a thing to see. Yeah, he turns to leave with Winky in tow. He's just like, all right, I guess. Duranian says, well, should have known there was more to ESP with those two. And Bolt's like, rah, 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 rah. And they just kind of get in his car and leave, which I guess what else can you do at this point?
Sheesh.
Let's go bowling.
Again, I thought they would have just turned and shot Jason. Just
Yeah.
like, all right, well, we've been after him this whole time. Let's kill somebody.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I thought them leaving was really just kind of abrupt and weird. Just them
It'd
getting
be
in
great if they would have just shot him and then just driven off and a slow zoom out of the scene.
As the like Incredible Hulk sad walking music plays in the background.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, I just love that. Well, I guess I should have known there was more to ESP with those two. Well, there we go. We get one last shot of Jason watching the flying saucer, which kind of heads into a misty valley, which I guess is where the co-op is. And he says, well, they're home now. And we reach the end.
Well, they're home now.
Oh, man.
Oh,
That end could not come soon enough. Yeesh.
It took it out of you. It was the harmonica, wasn't it?
It did. Yeah, the harmonica didn't help. I don't know, man. I felt like it just went downhill so far.
It went downhill real fast in the third act.
Yeah.
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 I was doing pretty good all the way to probably until the RV took off. It's about the time that's
It really was like they just ran out of time. And they're just like, oh, well, we'll just do this.
I feel like part of why they ran out of time is they, like in the beginning, they just kept on being like, oh, he can move things and she can do things with her mind over and over again. It's like, okay, now what? Anyway, let's rate this thing. Let's use our rubric, our personalized rubric. Robert, what are we grading on tonight? What's our scale?
we got to go with a flying Winnebago. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Either that
Question.
or bags of flour. One of those.
bags.
Yeah, cans of tuna.
All right. Well, maybe someone can talk me out of my dire mood. But I'm going to start with Andy because I feel like he's going to be with me. Plot and writing.
Yeah.
How many flying Winnebagos are we giving this one?
Oh gosh, it's weak all the way around. It's not a 1. It's not like horrible, but it's not good. So I'm going to go with a 2 flying Winnebagos.
I'll agree with that. I think the premise could have been good.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
the tent poles of the premise are great. But the execution is so poor, I'm going to give it a 2 because it's like, I just think they squandered it completely. Michael?
Yeah, you talked me down. I was going to go a low, very low 3, but I think it's got to be a 2 because, I mean, there's not any memorable, like, dialogue. I mean, it gets the story from the book, and I don't know how much it changes from the book. But there's a very interesting story to be told there, but it tells it in a very uninteresting way. So, yeah,
Right,
2
right.
for me.
O'Day's lines, great.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Robert?
Well, you guys are kind of shocked me because I thought we were going to be hitting into the 1 territory, and I was going to go with a 2 and be the 1. But yeah, everyone else has gone 2, so I was I'm in the same boat with you. Then it's a 2 for me.
Well, let's move on to casting and acting. I'll go right back to you, Robert. How many flying Winnebagos are you going to give this one?
Ooh, man, the kids weren't good. The O'Day, I liked him. I'm going to go with a 2 on the casting and acting. Because nobody really stood out. Nobody really carried it.
All right, Michael, what do you say?
Tough one because, I mean, you've got some good, like the 3 main adults, Ray Milland and Donald Pleasence and, Eddie Albert, are all like real actors. I mean, prominent actors. And I think they did fine. But they weren't really given anything interesting to do. All like Ray Milland got to do was just sort of stare at things. And Donald Pleasence didn't really get to up his Donald Pleasence. I think Eddie Albert was the only one who got a lot of fun stuff to do. So, I mean, but I thought everybody was adequate. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Andy because I can't quite decide what to do yet. Andy, how many do you give it?
No, I'm going to have to go with a 2. Yeah, you're right. I think Eddie Albert was the only one that had anything to work with, really. Everyone else was just kind of just bland. So it wasn't horrible again, but I can't give it a 3. So 2 Winnebagos.
Yeah, I think I'm doing the same. It's between a 3 and a 2. I think you're right. The casting, there are a lot of good names, but the kids were really bad, and it's just distracting at a certain point. And you could tell, it doesn't seem like anybody was really putting their all into this one. It just feels like.
And the strange, like the sheriff was strange. There was just so many strange like, side characters. I was like, that's weird.
Yeah. Production value. I think I'm going to go first here. And I am going to give it a 1, I think. Because just on the, well, no, I'm going to give it a 2. I'm going to stay with my 2s. I want to give it a 1 because I just thought there wasn't enough music.
Yeah.
And and the special effects were awful. But I do think that the vibe is unique. So I'm going to bump it up to a 2 for that. But, yeah, it's just so boring at a certain point to me. And I think the production was part of that. Distracting at the end, perhaps, with the special effects. But I got to ding it pretty good for that. Robert?
Well, clearly I like the camera moves. I like the camera angles. Certainly early on, I found them gripping, whether or not they were repeats from A-Team or not. The A-Team camera work never appealed to me as a kid, but aside from that,
You gotta go back and watch it, man.
there's a lot. You saw a lot of wires for the special effects. Of course, the Winnebago was bad. I mean, I'm thinking they made a Model T fly convincingly. And,
Right.
and they couldn't do something. I mean, some forced perspective would have worked here. I don't understand. I just I was gonna give it a 3 probably originally, but I'm probably gonna stay with a 2. I think I've come down.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad when I don't even look for wires. I felt like this one and Unidentified Flying Oddball, I just saw all the wires.
That was on a different level.
That one was way,
yeah.
See, that's what I was going to say. Is that to me is the one, the Unidentified Flying Oddball, because they was so clear that you could see the words. I didn't honestly. I mean, I saw just a little bit, but I think you see that in all of them. That there's always a little bit of wire, but so I didn't want to ding it that hard for that. I thought for the most part, the practical ones were decent. It was just when they got to when the flying bag of flour and the Winnebago and all that stuff started happening. That was just like, oh, this is awful. And then of course you had the upside down helicopter. So for me, and again, the music,
was
lack
not there
of
at
music.
all. Yeah.
The poor lighting. A lot of that kind of stuff. It just all adds up. So I can't give it a 1, but it's definitely not a 3. So I'm in the 2 camp as well.
Okay, Michael, what do you say?
I agree with everything that's been said. I will say in its favor, I did like all the practical stuff. All the optical stuff was real bad, but the practical stuff was good. Also, I liked all the location shooting. Like it really felt.
That's true. Yeah.
Felt really moody, and I mean they found some really good locations for it. And I did like the camera stuff early in the film, which they seem to just have given up on completely in the second half, which I think they gave up on a lot of stuff in the second half, weirdly enough. I mean, I'm really tempted to give it a 3 because it didn't feel cheap until the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll give it a 3. A low 3, but a 3.
Okay. All right.
Location shooting just does it for me. What can I say?
Yeah, extra credit. We'll go back to you for entertainment value, Michael. What do you give it?
I'll give it a 2. I mean, it just needed a little spark. It didn't have that spark.
Mm-hmm. Robert, what do you say?
I'm going to go with a 3. I might go back and rewatch this again someday. I didn't hate it enough to say I never want to see this again. So, aside from the things I didn't like, I mean, there were moments where I was entertained, and
yeah. And I'll say I didn't hate it either. There are probably other 2 things that I liked a lot less than this. I mean, it was just sort of craftsman-like and just sort of.
Yeah, I guess I like that they were taking a risk with some of the stuff they were trying to do, and so.
I'm gonna say a 2 for me. I did not like it. I guess it's like if I'm going to watch a movie that bad, I'd rather it be a comedy, I guess. But I did like the ambition of it. So I would give it credit for that, and that it strikes a different tone than all the other movies that we watch so often. So I'll give it credit for that. But I just feel like the kids are not great. And then it just gets into this, it just got into the mud, and then they just wrapped it up, and it was just like over, and they just kind of threw the ending together. So I don't know.
It makes me wonder if they were running out of time or something. Like if the schedule was getting really tight down near the end.
This wouldn't be on my list to watch again, but I definitely appreciate it as a kind of historical thing that it came at a time that it really was different. So they were trying stuff. Andy?
At the top of the show, I said that I was going to reserve giving my thoughts on if I liked it or not. And I'm going to fold that into this category. Usually I would give this a 2, but I'm going to shock everyone and say I'm going to give it a 3 because there were moments that I genuinely enjoyed. And a lot of it wasn't because it was good. It was because I just found it funny. Things like the ADR stuff, the the sound of the bear, just the ridiculousness of when she picks up the gun with her brain and turns it on them and cocks the gun. I was like, oh my God, she's going to shoot these people. There was just moments like that. It was so crazy and ridiculous, or just silly or poorly done that I just found it entertaining. And so it made me enjoy it more. I still don't think it's a good movie, but I did have to say that I enjoyed watching it for the most part.
I can see that.
Had me rethinking my answer because of this one scene in the police office, like...
Yeah.
I mean, true. That is true. And I mean, the Misty Valley Cooperative.
Yeah.
There's definitely a vibe to this.
Yeah.
Definite vibe, for sure.
And I guess, like all the previous movies we've watched, I think we kind of established this last time, is there you guys have said that you may not think the movie is good, but you enjoyed it. And
yeah.
I think that is actually applying to me in this case.
All right.
Cool.
Well, let's plug this puppy into the computer that wore tennis shoes, see what Escape to Witch Mountain gets.
Escape to Witch Mountain comes in with a 2.25, which ties it for number 30 out of 33. So just above $1 Million Duck and tied with Fun and Fancy Free, which had 2.25. Then Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo comes in at 28 with a 2.5. So there you go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like every time we look at what the peer group is, it's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, it fits about right.
Well, we've said what we have to say about this one. Michael, I'm curious what Leonard Maltin had to say about this puppy.
Well, Leonard would disagree with us. Leonard gives it 3 stars, calls it an excellent Disney mystery fantasy. Says, director John Hough leads an attractive cast through the supernatural doings to an unexpected conclusion. The special effects may seem simplistic today, but for their time, they were excellent and still serve the movie's purpose well. He's in for it. Says the screenplay efficiently combines chases, effects, humor, and mystery in a satisfying way.
Well,
come on, Leonard.
Leonard's down.
Yeah. Just your opinion, man. Well, I think I'm ready to close the book on this one. I mean, we'll have to return to Witch Mountain sometime, though.
Yeah.
Definitely be keen to do it again. But what's coming up directly around the bend, Mr. Robert?
Oh, boy. Well, this wacky road trip we're on is going to take a spooky turn as we jump off the Season 4 highway and turn down a dark and sinister road, where the stars grow dimmer the further one travels, clouds obscuring the moon from sight. Never will a podcast feel so melancholy and utterly alone. That's right, folks. We're going to take a trip off I-4 down World Drive towards the darkness that is Disney World. Well, not actually, but we are. My feelings for I-4 right now and Disney World are a different podcast for a different day, but we're going to travel to Sleepy Hollow and also to London, but mainly Sleepy Hollow for our Halloween episode, which is Ichabod Crane and Mr. Toad's, whatever.
Great intro.
I never wrote the actual title down. I forgot it. So.
Goodbye, Crane and Mr. Toads, whatever. Pretty much.
That kind of sums it up.
I haven't seen this one in its entirety. Probably maybe since I was like little, like 4 or 5. But I've seen excerpts from it a lot. So
I have seen the Ichabod part within probably about 4 or 5 years ago, when they show it at Halloween, or they did. I don't know if they still do, at Fort Wilderness in the horse barn.
Oh,
and it's a special event. You can go see it, and then the Headless Horseman comes out. And it's pretty cool.
He comes out at Fort Wilderness.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and it is very effective, I must say.
Yeah, the Headless Horseman effect in real life is effective. Yeah, I've seen this one since Disney Plus. So, yeah, excited to see what Andy thinks.
Yeah, I've seen the Ichabod one. I've seen it. I think my family watches it probably once a year for the Halloween.
Oh, wow, there you go.
And I remember watching it, back in elementary school when they put it on a reel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Film projector. And I remember watching
good
it that
times.
way. Yeah.
Historical. Well, that Halloween episode came from a suggestion from a listener on Twitter. You too can suggest episodes to us, and we'll do our best to work them into the podcast. You know the drill. info@midfieldfilm.com and @midfieldfilm on all normal platforms. Are you a miserly millionaire sitting in your mansion overlooking Pebble Beach? Someone whose quest for wealth and fortune has you turning to the supernatural in order to figure out where to find your next big score? Have you considered that maybe you're going about it all wrong? Maybe you just need to brand yourself and your mansion and get your name out there in a different light. Maybe just clean up your image a little. You know, who's good at cleaning up images and branding? You know who it is. Todd Naperick, the one who can do it all. You don't need to kidnap kids who have ESP. You just need to get a good marketing campaign behind you to make that money work for you. Maybe give Xanthus a little pep talk with a big logo on the cast iron gates. Perhaps some flashy business cards. Maybe you henchmen could use some fun t-shirts when they're out doing your bidding. Look Todd up at bindinggraphics.com, BYDAND graphics.com, and on the Upworks, he's going to make you look good and a lot less sinister. So, from all of us here at the Medfield College Film Society to all of you, we wish you well, and we'll see you for a spooky Halloween treat with Ichabod and Mr. Toad thing.
Mr. Toad's whatever.
Mr. Toad's whatever. Bye-bye.
Proud are we of mighty Redfield, alma mater dear. All your sons and daughters hail to thee, Redfield College of Technology. And while we hold your banner high, rock, rock, we shout your praises to the sky, rock.